Now let me deal with Keith Rowley. He said recently that as the chair of the National Security Council, he has good reason not to meet with me. So let me clarify. The National Security Council, which are words he loves to use, is nothing more than a subcommittee of cabinet. It is a politically appointed committee. It is not even part of our constitution. So there's nothing being a member of the National Security Council that you can know that can give you reason not to meet with someone that can assist the country to reduce crime. And if you believe so, then come in public and say it. Don't speak in riddles to state that I have good reason. Don't be bluffing, you're a big man. And don't try to go in parliament to hide like a coward as you planned to do initially with the audit report that was thrown out by the court. Yesterday, he then also made comments pertaining to the Stanley John report. This is a report by an individual who has no investigative training. But this is what the PNM is good at. Hire people who may be closely aligned to you, pay them millions of taxpayers' dollars, and then submit a report that could be exactly what you want, and then try to show to the country, look at what we have. Typical email gate reloaded. Keith Rowley, after 2 years of this planned Stanley John report, where he stated it was a well-oiled criminal industry, this joker, after 2 years, not one person has even been held for questioning as it pertains to corruption with firearms. So try again. And then he's trying to throw hints to say that Gary Griffith was giving out firearms for a fee. Keith Rowley, grow up. For the last few decades, everyone has to pay a $150 fee to get a firearm. And if you feel that there's something else, say it. But don't be speaking in riddles. And then again, to have the audacity to state that you do not want to meet with Kamala Persad-Bissessar and Gary Griffith because you do not want to meet with people who may commit crime, explain what you want to say. Be clear on it. And it is very unfortunate where you have citizens that would applaud this, because this cannot help you. And when you have citizens who are so blinded by political loyalty, those same citizens, the few hundred who attended that PNM rally yesterday, if it is that Keith Rowley changes his mind tomorrow, they will agree. Trinidad and Tobago, we need to wake up. Anytime you have someone who holds a position of authority and his ego and arrogance takes priority over doing what is right for the country that may cause bloodshed in the country, it is time to remove that leader.
Wow, a lot said there by Gary Griffith. A pleasant good evening, Mr. Griffith.
Hi, good evening. A lot said in 2 minutes and 12 seconds.
Yeah, a lot said. I mean, listening to it, you sounded like someone who was just totally fed up to the point of, listen, I don't have time to play political football with something as serious as crime. And also, you were demanding clarity as to statements that were made as far as Dr. Rowley being functioning in the capacity of chairman of the National Security Council made it clear that for whatever reason he cannot or will not meet with you. At this point in time when we've had more murders than days of the year so far, where do we go from here?
Well, obviously Keith Rowley has to move. We have to get rid of him democratically. It is either lead, follow, or get out of the way. I shudder to think, I know there will always be a PNM base, but if you could get 50,000 persons that could be so blinded to follow this man, I feel sorry for those 50,000. This is not about Rowley supporting the PNM. The man does not care about your safety and security. You are supposed to, he cannot swallow his pride, his ego, his arrogance, his hatred, his bitterness, continues to take priority over what is right for the country. I could be Prime Minister, and if it is that I believe that Keith Rowley could be of value to us in anything, I will speak to him. And that is where it says you have to swallow your pride and do what is right. He is not a servant of the citizens. And it is sad that you see these blind loyalists in that Coco meeting, that they are clapping their hands like trained seals and fuel, applauding what he is saying. And if he changes his mind tomorrow, they will agree to what he's saying. Trinidad and Tobago needs to understand you need to look for leaders who are willing to serve and do what is right. The man has the audacity in the highest murder rate in the history of the country. Crime has never been so high. People have never feared crime as much as it is now. And instead of you trying to get support, you have the audacity to still try to spit hatred on Kamala Persad-Bissessar and Gary Griffith. He's trying to make it look like it's some type of a tag team that Gary is ganging up on him. No, we are political leaders who realize what the country comes first. And Keith Rowley fails to understand this, and his hatred is what has caused too much division in this country.
Yeah, you also mentioned the issue about guns as far as trying to find something to connect with the sales of guns and licenses and what have you. Please, tell us more about that.
Well, Keith Rowley is the ultimate hypocrite. The man says that I gave out thousands of firearms. I gave out 4,000 firearms out of over 50,000 outstanding applications because of the failure of previous commissioners to do their job. And then out of that 4,000, half would have been to previous and present law enforcement officials who needed to protect themselves when they're off duty. So I gave out just about 2,000 firearms out of 1.4 million people. That could roughly be about 0.2% of the population. And this joker is saying that I was giving out guns to everybody. So 0.2% of the country is everybody. It shows that Keith Rowley obviously did math in August. And the hypocrisy of Keith Rowley is even more mind-boggling because he's the same Keith Rowley who was harassing me to provide a firearm dealer's license for his good friend in Tobago because he wanted to run a gun range and to sell guns in Tobago. So Keith Rowley, you are the biggest hypocrite. You're harassing me when I was commissioner because you wanted me to get a firearm dealer's license. Not a firearm permit, a license to sell firearms to as many people as still in Tobago as possible. And then you have the audacity to go into Tobago, to the Tocos meeting, trying to do as if, how dare Gary Griffith give out firearms to law-abiding citizens to protect themselves. The fact of the matter is that me giving out those firearms was to law-abiding citizens because of the failure of Keith Rowley's government to protect the law-abiding citizens. And not one was lost, stolen, used for a crime, or used for a murder. And in fact, dozens of lives were saved because of that. Keith Rowley continues to find avenues to not to ensure that the rights of law-abiding citizens can be adhered to. Not even pepper spray. Nicole Griffith has pushed for several years for pepper spray to be given to law-abiding citizens. Keith Rowley has refused. But criminal elements having assault weapons, he's not lifting a finger. It gives the impression that this government is looking after the rights of criminals rather than the rights of law-abiding citizens.
You also mentioned recently that National Security Minister Fitzgerald Hines' denial that Friday's bomb threats at schools across the country were acts of terror, and you said it demonstrates his lack of knowledge on matters of national security.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, the fact of the matter, for you not to understand that if someone makes wild threats to that extent that can destabilize a country, that is an act of terror. And the blind PLM loyalists, this person is ever held, he will be charged under, guess what, the Anti-Terrorism Act. So somebody is going to be charged under the Anti-Terrorism Act, but it is not being seen as an act of terror. I mean, the height of stupidity is, how could people be so blinded? The man is clueless and doesn't understand his role and function. He doesn't understand what terrorism is. But what he continues to do is to trivialize any matter because it makes it easier for him not to have to justify, not to have to explain it or to state what he intends to do to rectify it. It's the same thing as when the children, when gunshots were being fired and children were forced to go on the ground. The man made the most stupid statement and said that there was no chance of them being injured because the gunshots were 100 meters away. When the fire of that type of weapon, effective fire, is over 300 meters, the man is totally lost in understanding his role and function. Even today, he did a video trying to explain and try to throw the police service under the bus by stating that the government has nothing to do with the Brent Thomas fiasco when certain police officers operating outside of their role and function illegally arrested and held a Trinidad and Tobago citizen outside of our country's jurisdiction, kidnapped him virtually and brought him back to Trinidad. And Fitzgerald has jumped to say, well, we are not responsible. But what he has refused to answer is, one, who arranged the CARICOM plane for the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, those questionable elements in the police service, to take that aircraft to Barbados to bring back Mr. Thomas? The only way that aircraft could have been is through a very senior government official in this country. It means that whoever signed that and approved that without proper authorization and due process, because it meant that that aircraft was arranged through a government official to allow these police officers to operate in an illegal manner, that government official must also be questioned and could very well be arrested for misbehavior in office and aiding and abetting and kidnapping. And he has also not answered the question, was a junior officer in the police service meeting with senior government officials at the diplomatic center pertaining to this investigation. And three, was a very junior officer being at the front of the investigation by the dealers or the firearm dealers, and she was bypassing these even senior officers. Was she looking at instructions of these politicians? So Fitzgerald, that 18 minutes you spent, you wasted 18 minutes of our life. Answer those three questions and then we will ascertain whether there is political interference in this matter pertaining to firearms.
Gary, let me ask you something. You simply said, listen, you wanted to function in some capacity as far as to assist. I mean, what you were asking for wasn't for some position. It was a matter of being there, guiding the officers, using some of the mechanisms that you had used. But as citizens, and we are under siege, We've seen everything that you have implemented or tried to set up, even as far as trying to change the culture within the TTPS, simply ripped down and put aside because for some reason it was you that did it. But when in fact we are under siege, people are coming into our homes, they're jumping our walls. We no longer have a national security apparatus as far as the National Operations Center, the National Security Alert Center, and the Operational Command Center. All of these things that you brought and was able to say, listen, this is going to help. We saw the reduction, we saw what was taking place. Now, what are we to do as citizens when in fact now there seems to be no plan moving forward?
Well, again, unfortunately, Keith Rowley's only job is to try to push hate, anger, and bitterness of anyone politically opposed to him. And that is what happened. So when people speak about the problems now with home invasion and all of that, and the situation even with the bomb threat, the Commission of Inquiry into the attempted coup in 1990 specifically stated for the implementation of a National Operations Center. This was done. This is why we were able to be so effective when we had the situation with the riots. When I was Commissioner of Police, and 55 consecutive roadblocks were we were able to shut it down within seconds. That is how when persons were involved in home invasion, within 2 minutes the police would have been at that person's home. That is why we were able to put an end to kidnapping, because it is the only time kidnappers will hold someone, and we will raid the place where the kidnappers would be, arrest the kidnappers and rescue the victim. That is why we were able that if someone would be able to fire a shot on someone, we'll be able to immediately rectify that situation by a high visibility, a rapid response, and apprehension. You shut down and dismantle every single thing, and instead of you working and understanding, okay, every time the PNM is in government, crime goes up. When the PNM is not in government, every year crime goes down. The only time in the last 30 years crime went down with the PNM in government was when I was Commissioner of Police, so that doesn't count. So instead of you swallowing your pride and trying to accept advice, all you do is try to demonize the persons who you see politically opposed to you. Even recently and yesterday at the PNM meeting in Toko, where about a few hundred persons stood up, they're trying to attack the political leader of the UNC by and again alluding to the fact by stating Griffith and Kamala, they intend to commit crime, so why should I meet with them? It's the height of stupidity. That is what he's trying to do, cause division. Griffith also got a recommendation about stand your ground. Yeah. I strongly recommend this. But what Keith Rowley has done is deliberately trying to turn this into something of fear, hatred, and racial division by trying to allude that if someone jumps in your yard and steals a mango, Kamala is trying to say that you have a right to shoot, to kill them. That is not what stand your ground is. Keith Rowley, again, it seems that he went to school in August. How could you stand your ground if somebody steals a mango and jumps over your fence? Stand your ground has to do with the present situation where if somebody is raping your wife, you must give equal force to stop it, or else you can be charged. Even if somebody is kidnapping your child and dragging him out, you must use equal force to that person. And if you fight with him and struggle and he falls on he gets himself on the edge of a gate and die, you can be charged for manslaughter. This present situation is if somebody is stealing your jewelry and they are trying to escape, and you pull them and you bring them down, they can charge you for assault. I know a lady, I was happily charged for assault under the same manner when she claimed that the person was stealing her jewelry, she was trying to escape, and she held her. This is what stand your ground is. It is allowing you the opportunity that you don't have to use equal force, even if that there's a situation where you, your family's life is under threat, or your assets. So if somebody is coming with a weapon and charging towards you, at this time you cannot use your firearm because the person may have a knife. No, this is where stand your ground comes in. But what Keith Rowley has done is deliberately trying to give the impression of fear. But again, what he has done is to ensure that the criminals can be protected and not once to look after the rights of the law-abiding citizens.
Yeah, but Gary, let me ask you this, because mainstream media has done some polls. 88% or more have said, listen, we want Gary to come back, we want Gary to work. But yet still there are those who are saying, and what do you say to those who say, listen, it wasn't about Gary, it was about the lockdown, the whole in the midst of the pandemic, you had criminals who couldn't move around, they were limited, so it had nothing to do with Gary, but yet still a large section of our society is saying, we felt safe at home, we felt safe on the streets, we felt safe in our business when Mr. Griffith was there.
Well, again, let me clarify. the stupidity of people trying to say that it's because of COVID that crime went down. I don't know if it is that they did interviews with criminals to just have criminals say, well, I decided not to kill during COVID because I was afraid I get COVID. If that was the case, Trinidad and Tobago, please explain that last week, Jamaica just boasted about a massive reduction in murders after COVID. So is it that the murderers in Jamaica missed the memo? That it, because the Trinidad memo is that when there's COVID, you do not commit crime because you're afraid to get COVID. Or state of emergency or whatever. But after COVID is when we commit crime. So if that is the case, how come in Jamaica there's a total contrast? Where crime increased during COVID and after COVID there's a massive reduction. Explain how Guyana has now had experienced the same thing. Where after COVID there's a reduction. Explain how the cities in Boston, New York, LA, Detroit, Chicago, almost every major city in the United States, crime went up during COVID. You know why? Because during COVID, during situations where there's state of emergency or whatever, is that there will be situations where the persons now there's unemployment, there's lack of opportunities, there will be inflation, people will be frustrated, and that is what caused crime to increase in places like Guyana, Jamaica, and almost every city in the U.S. So the nonsense of trying to state it was because of COVID. Additionally, when I left in August 2021, in October and November, when there was still COVID, the public health regulations and the state of emergency, October and November, we saw the second and third highest number of murders in any month in our history. So what is it? The criminals forgot about the memo after I left. So it had nothing to do with COVID. It had to do with proper policies, leadership, technology, predictive policing, and utilizing our assets in an effective manner. Keith Rowley has refused to do this. He has fully plugged up the government has ensured that the plug has been brutally pulled on every single policy that was instrumental. And as I said, it gives the impression that they want the criminals to have a fighting chance. How come you could remove and shut down so many things that would have been effective to reduce crime? And then, as I said, 91% in a poll that was done by a main media house asked for Keith Rowley to meet with me for me to give him advice. And you know, if the man had any brain, you will understand if I could get crime to go down, it will help me politically. And I don't mind that, because I'm not here to hope that Keith Rowley fails. I'm not here to hope that the government fails. While they're still in government, it is the job of every law-abiding citizen to assist them. If it is that they refuse or they still fail, but then you remove them. But I am here to assist, and you are saying because of your ego, your arrogance, your hatred, you say that I don't want it and I don't care. You have now disregarded 91% of the population. If 91% of us, it means that the vast majority of PNM voters also agreed. And it says a lot. It shows that even the PNM base is now shifting from Keith Rowley because they realize the man is not looking after their interests.
Yeah, one would think that it would be a priority to meet with whoever that can assist. But let me ask you this, based on your expertise and what have you, what do you think is going through the psyche of many of these criminals at this point in time?
Well, the product of opportunity is now there. What happened, for example, we had predictive policing. We used the technology that was there, looking through the dark web, social media monitoring, covert operatives. We had a rapid response unit. We had a emergency response patrol. We had GPS tracking on the police vehicles. We had an operational command center. We had an effective 999. So anytime someone dials 999, we will see the vehicle in closest proximity and be able to have an immediate response. The criminals knew this. We also had online reporting, app reporting, the SOS emergency on people's phones. All of these things were shut down. And because of that, the criminals were aware that if I jump a wall, if I try to kidnap someone, very well, you'll see the name a few moments later. We will be there. And that is what caused the criminals to back off. That is what caused my last year to be 342 murders. And it was the highest reduction in violent crime in 17 years. The last time we had 342 murders in any given year was in early 2000, 2003 or so, I think. And that shows the difference. Within a year, we became the highest number of murders in our history. So the criminals have now realized I can go by residence nightclub, shoot someone, and even when it's opposite the commissioner's residence, 2 minutes from CGM station, it will take probably 40 minutes for them to arrive. So, and that is why I could jump in homes, I could do home invasion. That is why kidnappings had ended. Home invasion was zero, because the criminals knew that the product of opportunity was no longer there, the deterrent was there, and the high visibility was there, the rapid response was there. Because these things no longer exist, that is why they are taking advantage of the situation.
And of course, looking at what's going to happen next, asking you, of course, because it is quite clear. The Prime Minister does not want your assistance, neither does he want assistance from the opposition leader or anyone else at this point in time that he deems that is not with any sort of clouds hanging over their head. So that's out of the picture. It's about either get Gary or whatever the case may be. Again, that does nothing for us as citizens in this country. I mean, we are under siege, and one would think rather again than have this play out as some political theater, it would be about putting the lives of the citizenry at a top priority. Does this weaken you in any way, or do you now understand what your strategy will be moving forward?
No, I think Keith Rowley has shot himself in the foot. It has shown that every single law-abiding citizen that this man does not care about their interests. He does not care about their rights to safety and security. He would rather put petty politics and hatred for people politically opposed to him as priority over doing what is right. And it shows the difference in the personality between Gary Griffith and Keith Rowley. So anybody who wants to compare who do you want in leadership of this country between somebody like Keith Rowley or Gary Griffith, you would want a man who's saying, I do not care if these individuals, through Gary Griffith, being from a commissioner of police that took police confidence from 14 to 55%. He took the crime became from the number 1 to the number 4 concern. It became the number 1 concern again. He put 100 policies in place that caused the public to feel comfortable. And he is saying, I do not care, I do not want to meet with him because he's not one of us. And then I do not want to meet with Kamala Prasad, even though in that People's Partnership government, it was the highest reduction in serious crime in 31 years. That was also the last year I was Minister of National Security. For a man to say that I don't care about these people, I don't want to speak to these people, that means that this man's hatred and arrogance and virtual dictatorship is that I do not want to meet with anyone unless they are one of we. Unless that person is a PNM. And that is why the PNM is failing, because they divide the country to the point that even law-abiding citizens, persons who are willing to help you, you are saying, I do not want your help because there is not one of we. And that cannot be someone that anybody. How could you be a father and have a child and will want that man as your Prime Minister? Your child's life could be at risk at any time when they leave home. How could you be a mother or wife and have your husband can actually leave work and be killed? How could you be a law-abiding citizen and want a man like this as your Prime Minister, where he's virtually saying, I do not care, I do not want to meet with them because they are not one of us. And then he tries to mislead the country to give the impression that Gary and Kamala are persons involved in criminal activity. That's what the PNM is very good at. They lie over and over in the hope that people will believe it. They do not, because he brought this Stanley John joke, as I said. For 2 years, he spoke about a well-known criminal industry. Keith Rowley had the audacity to speak again. 2 years, not one person has even been held for questioning as it pertains to bribery or whatever with firearms, because it was never done under my watch by me. So all you do is hire people closely aligned to you, pay them millions of dollars, and then virtually tell them what you want in your report, and then try to wait it to say, look what I heard about this person. That's why the court chased him like a dog and told him, you cannot submit that report to Parliament, because the court realized what it was about. You want to say anything about the report? Be a man for once in your life and come in public and say it. Now, he has made some very serious accusations about Kamala Prasad Defensor, and rightfully so, she will have to deal with that in court. And my opinions are also looking at comments that she made about me yesterday. I don't know if it is that what got into him, that could cause him to lose focus, but he seems to have stepped out of the line, and I hope he can answer.
Yeah. Mr. Griffith, I want to thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much again for linking with us here on The Observer on Gayelle. I know a lot of work is set out before you, and we'll be checking in with you periodically. Keep up the good work. All the best to you and your team.
As I said, it's time for the country to decide. Is this the man you want as a leader? A man with hatred, bitterness, totally out of control, and will not put your needs first.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
Take care.